Hands up if you're not here.
Sad when you have a seat and eat like these.
All right.
It's a good day.
Welcome along, guys. This is the third of our nutrition workshop series about snacking or snacking as substitutes. If you're here for some super secret advice on the best snacks of the evening, then you're probably going to leave this point. Okay. There's quite a few. It might be that your current snacking regime is actually right for you, but the plan for this workshop is actually just to give you some tools or ideas to check whether that's actually right for you. So probably more around just getting you to think about what you're doing, much the same as the other two. Just put some thought in, possibly put some numbers around it, and see where that takes you for your overall nutrition goals. Okay. So snacking was really no different to the first two workshops. In fact, if I was to pitch a statement from a podcast I recently listened to, they said that snacking is quite a modern word. It's actually just an instance of eating, which I thought was quite a cool way to look at it. And when I started thinking about it like that, it really just sort of made everything sort of come together with it, and it made it a bit easy to understand. So who attended some of the other workshops? One or two? One. Okay. So we've all come a long way in this main nutrition workshop. So I was going to quickly just sort of recap on what we've done. You plan your meals. We plan your meals. It seems like a no-brainer, but the reality is that we're all busy. So prioritising some time to focus on your nutrition is a good thing. Using the food matrix to aid you in your decision making is not actually that hard. I guess just getting started is probably the hard bit. So has anybody had a play with that food matrix since those workshops? Cool.
Just quietly that. A few people will teach me.
On the list, okay. So it must be like a top secret thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Spend some time prepping your meals. Maybe once a week, twice a week. Only really you know the best way to fit that in for you. But again, make it a priority. I mean, it's your health after all. And keep it simple. You don't need to stress about becoming a gourmet chef just to eat whole foods and paleo. Again, that was a real big message for the first two. Probably at the end of the day, you're going to finish up thinking much the same thing. It doesn't need to be rocket science. Just eat real food is what I've got written here. Kind of makes sense. Don't want to gloss over it, but we've sort of already talked about the workshop 2. We sort of looked into taking the meal planning and got down to figuring out sort of the protein, carbs and fats and macros and just seeing where they fit for you. Another question, has anybody taken the time outside of that session to have a real look at their daily macro needs, the 40, 30, 30 or anything? Has anyone had a good look at that? Cool. More yeses, that's good, Ruth?
Yes.
Okay. And then I think I think I've got the balancing your macros through all your meals is sort of the other take-home thing that even I got out of it. Okay, it's just looking at that. So when we move on to snacking and how that fits into the whole nutrition plan, try and remember that instance of eating thing a little bit when we're listening to this. But snacking itself is not actually a bad thing. Okay, so hopefully you didn't sort of turn up here thinking you're told off for snacking or something like that. Okay, snacking itself is not a bad thing. It's much the same as eating. It doesn't need to be seen anyway. And much like the other two workshops and the stuff I've mentioned before, it's a very individual thing. It still comes down to referring back to your plan. So when snacking actually useful, I sort of thought, I've got there, snacking is your friend. It's probably more useful than a friend, but that sounds like a cool thing to say.
More useful.
when snacking actually useful, so if your goal happens to be to increase lean muscle mass, you might find it simply too challenging to eat the standard 3 square meals a day. Inserting a couple of usually smaller meals around them can be a great way to hit your targeted food volume. I don't know who can remember some of the calories and macros and things like that, but for me it's something like 2,500 and I'm cutting weight, and to do that over 3 meals, I'm a good eater and I struggle to eat that much, so chucking in a couple other smaller meals is useful for me, and again that may resonate with you guys. Similarly, I'll come to that in a minute. And there's also the time, they can be useful around looking at the timing that you train. Some of us can't train on a full stomach. Similarly, if we've gone a long time since our last meal, training on an empty stomach could be a bit of an issue. For someone that trains in the evenings, for example, a light high energy snack prior to it can have a positive outcome, as would immediately afterwards from a recovery perspective. Okay, won't really go into specifics about what a good recovery one looks like just yet, unless we have those questions later on. Ruth can roughly put something together, but it's just more around what that meal is for you. Just to probably make that one there real, I mean, how many of us can actually eat a full nutritionally macro balanced meal after a workout like that 5x5 row, for example? So just to put that in context, that's where perhaps a specific snack or light meal either side of that might be a good option. Okay, so just to sort of highlight that timing perspective. Again, it's individual to you. We all train at different times. There's some 6 a.m. people here. Again, it's just different for that and how the rest of the day shapes out. So, we're all busy, and sometimes our days can get away on us. So this is another time when it could be reasonably useful. Having some good quality filling and some, here's something I prepared earlier, type food handy can contribute to a more successful outcome for your goals. Okay, so if you happen to be underprepared, you may say to yourself, "Bugger, I'm hungry, but I have nothing good to eat, so I just won't eat it." Well, sometimes that's kind of right. That could be the best option, but often it's not, because it may tempt you to do something else, stop at the shop on the way home or whatever, and get something that's less desirable. So, rather than putting yourself under that pressure, I guess, if you're a bit prepared, you can sort of take that out of the equation as to what makes you slip up, for example, or myself, slip up a little bit on the surface sort of things. If you're sort of not snacking around that previous slide, if some of the reasons you're snacking is not in there, like timing, getting to the next meal sort of thing, then chances are snacking's not sort of your friend. It's actually your foe, but fear not, brave and noble food warrior. Help us at hand. Well, some advice anyway. So, thinking about why we're snacking, what are the reasons? There may be many reasons as to why you're choosing to snack in a way that's outside your nutritional plan. Are you just hungry? That's fine. People get hungry. We're supposed to get hungry, and that's what makes us eat. But you've got to sort of try and figure out why you're hungry. Has it been longer than normal since your last meal? Was your last meal actually fully balanced and as nutritious as it could have been? Is it just a habit? Is it 3 o'clock in the afternoon and all your workmates are off to the smoker room or down to the local cafe for a coffee and a scone, cake or biscuit, and you feel you have to have a scone, cake or biscuit, and you feel you've got to have one too? Is it just a habit thing? You don't want to feel like a leper. Snacking leper. Are you just bored? I mean, have you just worked out in the evening and you just gone home chilling out, 90 minutes after tea, and you're just relaxing watching a bit of Coro Street?
I can't wait.
You just got the urge for some chips and dip. Again, if you're not hungry, then chances are you're just bored or something else. The other thing we mentioned. Okay. So given that we're chuckling about that, some of these things hopefully are resonating a little bit. But what about stress? Generally, for all of our meals, if we were to make a choice to stray away from our plan, stress would probably be one of the main things that makes that choice happen, and snacking's no different. We all react to stress in different ways, but for many of us it's just eating sweet, easy comfort foods, which ironically ends up causing us more stress because then we feel guilty about it. And then everything just snowballs along. You don't really want to feel guilty. Okay, but I guess it kind of happens, and I'm sort of probably talking about some of my own observations sometimes. But I guess the message here is, if you feel like these things are happening to you, like a few chuckles in there, obviously some of us are noticing some patterns for them, you want to look at why it's happening and focus on correcting that. I'm not really going to go a heap deeper into the why, because the fourth workshop next week is really going to cover that into a lot more detail, the sort of the deeper why. So this is really just to put a bit of context to get you thinking about what it may be. So stay tuned for the exciting conclusion next week. That's really what I want to say about the why thing, guys. Any questions so far before I waffle on to some steps? Am I going too fast? Because I am super nervous. So we can see that the theme being reflected here is that much of what we consider as snacking is really just another meal, albeit a smaller meal. Like, can we all sort of agree on that? You sort of following where we're heading with that? But so now when we sort of think of snacks themselves, I really prefer to think of it like an emergency food, something that you just got to do it. Okay. Sometimes we need a little something in between meals. Very little, or we want something before we go to a meeting or party, or something quick before we work out, as I mentioned before. We don't want to have to worry about being hungry or having an energy slump. Perhaps a stash of dried fruit, quality whole foods, energy type bars, and I stress the quality there. A piece of fruit, or just something similar and fairly nutritious, easy to eat and easily digested. But it shouldn't really be something that is an everyday food. It shouldn't be a pattern that's forming in your diet as a rule, I think. Okay? Specifically around the emergency things anyway. You really shouldn't be having that many food emergencies. They're called emergencies for a reason. So, what does that look like for emergency stuff? That's probably what we want to focus on. Making, sort of getting the small meals, and specifically around timing for nutrition, for your working out and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of a different focus to what some of these snacks are here. And I've hopefully grabbed some commonish things. We've sort of been snacking on veggies and nut butters and meats and crackers and dips and frittata thing there. That's all snacky type food. But specifically these things here. If we were to grab like a handful of these, anyone eat this stuff, like just grab a handful of this at work, school? You do? Wow. What are your parents? I'm sort of going to pass this around. I actually found this really interesting, so by default you guys have got to as well, otherwise it's not going to work out that well for me here. I've put a serving size in here. Looks a little way. So in that serving size it's 30 grams. Who would eat more than that? If they were to grab a handful of these, who would eat more than that? That's just the serving size on the back of the packet too, guys. Like, your serving size is different. Remember I said it's individual. I've just picked on this because it's a good visual. So just have a look at how few in there. That's 138 calories for those of us that were measuring calories. There's quite a lot of other bits and pieces in it. It's pretty good. It's just a visual thing I really wanted to highlight to you guys. Compare that to, anyone eat a bit of jerky? Cool. So that's a serving size. So there's a bit more in that. That's a serving size. It's 80 calories. I can't remember the fat in that. But if you were to choose a snack, you should probably treat looking at the packets kind of like you were doing with your main meals. When you're picking up something to eat, if you can't spell half of it, then it's not the whole foods thing. It's kind of irrelevant. Who's invested in some of these in a previous life? I feel I don't know you guys anymore. So, I mean, this isn't to pick on a brand, I just grabbed it because it was pink and bright and on special. Okay? But that's 125 grams, that's again, who would eat that as a serving? Like, who would consider that as a serving? If they happen to reluctantly eat these.
Stacey.
Serving size in
Okay, so Karen says that the serving size is this long. I actually think that's really good.
Honest response.
As a comment. I think from memory there was about 100. What does it say on the front before you wrote it? About 130 calories in there. Again, we don't just focus on the calories, but it's really just a number to get you to say, should I be more than that?
So it's pretty more things for that within snack.
They were just an example of things that we'd probably pick up. Now there's sort of, the Scroggins a good thing, jerky and a few crackers. So
There was one snack.
50 serving size in each container. Is that what you mean?
There was one serving.
Any quick comments on those guys? Is anyone just absolutely amazed or just like, oh no? And then we sort of get into these pre-prepared bars. I'll hand these around and they will come back, by the way. You can have a look at the ingredients and things. I'll just start them in random places, guys. You can. Yes, the popcorn one.
It's got to go round, Emma.
Have a probe of them and just see who sort of gets into those bar things.
What?
Who sort of gets into them? Does anyone randomly grab one of those or the blue dinosaur? It's not a witch hunt, guys.
I do.
It's just, I tell you what, putting this together, I learned a few things about some of the things that I use. So generally, why I've got them out is that's the patio thing. That's what everyone grabs. That's the high energy, and I would think that they're an emergency type thing. You can get away with that. Again, knowing what's in it. I just quickly done some maths before that popcorn one. Emma, have you taken out your pocket? Yeah, that popcorn one there. Like, who looks at that and thinks, yep, that's me. Looks to go.
You love them, mate. Tasty. You know.
It's 87 calories, so it's got 0.6 of a gram of protein. That's per serving, which the serving is a whole bar. Okay, so you don't have to cut it in half and save something later. Okay. It's got 2.7 grams of fat and 14.7 grams of carbs. Okay, so that's if you were to put that into your macros and things like that, it probably wouldn't make much of a difference. But it's got 60 grams of sugar per serving. Okay, so there's obviously an effect in that.
10 teaspoons.
The paleo crackers, guys. I think that the whole bag the whole thing is a serving. Where are they? So I've got them near the bottom of the water. So those paleo crackers, guys. If you were to grab them, a bit of dip and things like that, you're around that 300 calorie mark. Quite a bit of protein, 11.4 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat in there. Okay, possibly all seasoned, I mean. And 8.7 grams of carbs. So I've done that for all of them, but you kind of get the gist. They're pretty grunty on themselves, for like that emergency snack. If you get called out, that's what's in them basically. What would do you have anything to say about those specific ingredients?
I was just thinking, like, you notice with these really processed things, and some of these the same, that they're really hyper palatable. Like the stuff that they put in them just makes them impossible to stop. And I just think that's really important to bear in mind, that anything that's highly flavoured with various MSGs and stuff like that, they just turn off all those regular control things that we normally have over our hunger. Yeah, so I think it's useful to bear in mind. So for some people, these tend to be like abstaining is better than having some. Yeah, but not to say that you should all abstain, you don't have a shake, but just like around your comment, Karen, like it's quite hard to stop, right, once you've opened your box. And so just bear that in mind, whether that should even go in the shopping trolley, if you know that that's what happens when you open the box.
In that respect, Pringles are quite honest because they actually say once you
Once you've got
some.
They've got people that specifically what their job is to make the food hyper palatable and impossible for you to stop, and then sell more products that way. So I think you just always got to bear that in mind with all these processed foods. There's people making a living out of making it impossible for you to stop eating it.
How do the blue dinosaur, how do they match up?
They're quite high in fat. They're quite a lot of nuts. Not much protein. Yeah, very good. Not very much protein at all. So they're mostly fats and carbs. Again, like I think it's useful to think about ingredient list as well, like in terms of the amount of nutrients you're getting out of various things. What is that? Fiber bar, isn't that? What's the ingredient list on that?
I was reading it. Sodium, aluminum, phosphate.
Yeah, awesome.
The third ingredient is icing sugar, and the fourth ingredient is sugar, and it's cornstarch.
And mean, like, and so that's just such a good example because this actually got sent out in the pink ribbon breakfast pack. Oh, received this. You know, but they're really trying to, like, ooh, fibre one, and you're like, oh, nutritious. Only 90 calories, but then just like absolutely nothing in it that you would ever need in your body, you know? So, just, it's not, we're not trying to suggest it's all about the calories and the carbs and the fat and the protein, it's also being aware of the quality of the ingredients that are put into these things.
Literally just mentioning the numbers to tie it into your meal plan to sort of help provide that overall feeling around your goals. For the Blue Dinosaur ones, guys, for all that matters, about 250 calories, 4 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat, and 10 grams of carbs. But the ingredients list is recognisable. You don't need a PhD to figure out what's in it. To answer that question a bit, though. Any other comments just around those snacks, guys? They've just, and the differentiation specifically, the message I was wanting to highlight was that emergency type snack versus it's actually a small meal to get you through something properly. You know, like is that everyone sort of clear on patching it up? Who thinks of these snacks like that? They're just more food and shit you got to eat.
Evans is coming here.
Pardon?
Evans is coming here.
You have been more aware of it?
Before, you know, somebody turn up with a bag of chips and you're hungry and you well, I'll buy you just smash bag of chips and 2 large pizzas that was big.
Versus, and what would you like? There's substitutes, snacks and substitutes in the headings. It's far better for you guys to tell me what you've changed. Like instead of reaching for that bag now, you know, this perhaps the habit or the hunger's still there. What do you grab otherwise?
Hot-boiled eggs. Always got a secret to the freezer, sausages or all meat ones.
Peanut butter?
Yeah, peanut butter goes through.
Yeah.
Carrot, meat.
Yeah.
And I think they're a little bit harder. Like it's still nice, but it's that harder to eat than like wolfing in bags of crackers and things like that. Like you've got to chew, you've got to take your time. You know, you've got to crack the peanut butter at the top of your mouth and all this sort of stuff. So you kind of get sick. You kind of get bored of eating it before you get full, sort of thing. That's sort of the idea. And a bit the same. Those crackers that Nikki makes, and I should probably jump in here with it. Those crackers that Nikki makes, they won't be any different probably to the paleo ones here as far as what's in them, but make them yourself and you know what's in them. But I find them, by the time you eat a handful of them, you're done. Like you sort of be over them. They're not like a pallet. They're nice, but they don't.
He's over them.
What you need to say is that if you really stop and think about, you know, if you go out and have a roast meal, like you can kind of eat it and then you're full and then you finish, you know. Whereas that bag of, what do you call it, the jar of Pringles or whatever, you never get to that stage with those other foods. So it's one of the wonderful things about eating whole foods is it really helps you regulate your hunger with stuff.
Usually the Pringles aren't cool potato chips. That's why I don't have potato.
No, allergic.
Don't buy them. Don't even just keep walking. Don't even go up that aisle. They contain something, they don't.
You celebrate. It's like, I could do another one just to get rid of that taste.
Yeah, I think that's the chemical in the life that we were mentioning before. Is that somebody's job to make you feel that way?
You're doing it really well.
I'll probably get a pay rise.
PhD's going top.
I guess I sort of didn't have room to talk about it, but just dropped into my head then, like thinking about your overall number for the day, just to think about the number. If you go and smash a bag of Pringles or a box of those things, you know, that's probably 300 or 400 calories. And, you know, like you smaller people are probably around that 1,500 a day, or at least 1,500, 1,800 a day. You know, if you go and have your normal meals, you know, your normal meals will probably get into that, and all of a sudden you've overeaten by that snack alone. And so if you're having issues meeting targets and things like that you set yourself, I guess that those snack things can actually get away on you real quick. Yeah, that's just popping the head in, so hopefully that works without harping on that numbers too much. Very much, yeah. So, you probably figured out by now that we won't be telling you about a whole bunch of healthy snacks that you're allowed to eat, because you're most likely to go away and eat them and say, oh, Rupert Stacey said so, we're all good. It's obviously not going to happen here. We want the responsibility to be yours for what you're eating and what your nutrition and how your nutritional plan plays out for you. We want to help you, which is, I guess, why we're doing these, but it's still up to you. But, there's always a but. If you're someone that hasn't taken the time to create a nutritional plan yet, and is just looking to adjust your instance of eating, again, remember that word, into more healthy choices, particularly around snack time, then there may be something for you in the back of that book around some of the recipes and things that you can do, or some of the ideas that you picked up here based on that high-quality discussion and some of the bars in there. So those links won't work on the piece of paper because, as to my joke we had last week, you can't print them. Okay, so I'm going to keep that joke going. But I sort of put them under headings. I need to find the book. I put them under headings where I think that they're sort of grouped in. If you're somebody that likes the humble old pie, for example, then I've sort of found some recipes that I think you might be able to substitute those to give you a similar sort of feel, but just a good, just something slightly different around it. So, I need to find more books. So, the very first one, the chips and crackers versus fruit and veggie chips. I mean, that's a bit of a sitter. If you're someone that likes that crunch and you're aware of it and that's your thing, well then, there's a few ideas there. There's plenty of people in the box that have ideas around crackers and hummus and things. I know, Nikki, those dips and things like that, they're quite often just offcuts, roasties and things. You just jam them in, whiz them up, and you can scrape them out, and that's a dip, and that's a hummus. It's perfectly fine if that's your jam. And again, if that's something you need to eat around working time from a recovery, then it's probably going to be made out of pumpkins and kurma. If it's something that's just a bit of a snack, probably slightly less dense than that. You can switch them around based on what you need, but the principle is the same. It can be made alongside your other food. Again, it doesn't need to be hard. You can chuck them in the wee containers, have another wee snack bag of veggies, and it can just be your dip. And again, by the time you get to the bag, you'll be sick of eating them anyway, so there's no chance you're overeating. And it's as simple as sort of I wanted to make those chip ones. And you can read through them, bars and biscuits versus nuts and seeds. You can, excuse me, you can always go and buy a biscuit or a cake in the shop and all that sort of stuff, but there's other things that you can do to go and do that. And I guess that's the thing with all those recipes, guys. I'm not really going to literally talk through all of them, because again, like I said before, you don't need shitloads of recipes just to make this thing work. But I was just aware that some people might not know the switch between the two. Anything on that? Am I still talking too fast?
That's good.
So just to summarise things, it pretty much come to the end, guys. All meals should be reflective of your overall goal, including snacks. Be prepared for emergencies. I know, Bruce, you guys quite often carry boiled eggs and bits and pieces with you. Might sound like, imagine opening up a boiled egg at work. Imagine when they open some of that nasty Chinese food that they're trying to reheat in the microwave, and you open the microwave and it just reeks. Who cares? What stinks to you might not stink to you. So you don't have to feel bad about eating weird snacks, even though I don't think they're weird. You sort of follow what I mean with that. Meats and things like that, again, they can be super processed, but, sometimes you might have to just let the odd thing slide, or just buy some of the ones that are a bit less processed, or if you're doing roast beef and things like that, scan a couple of slices off it before the rest of your family gets it, and that can be your snack. There's all sorts of things you can do there. I don't want to be up here saying you shouldn't do. Just have those ideas and see how they fit in those contexts. Why are you snacking? Again, if some of those hungers, habits, boredom, and stress type things aren't really, if that's not deep enough for you to figure out why you're snacking, book in for next week. Okay, get a bit deeper into that sort of carry on next week. But they should be a good place to start if you identify what it is you're doing for. And then look at what you're snacking on. It might just be a simple change. It might be fine, the reasons you're doing it, but just look at what it is. If it's the whole box of snacks, like Bruce said, easy, just don't buy them. But if you do want to just change it around a little bit, then hopefully there's some ideas in and around this that you can just switch it up. That's about all I've got for that. There's obviously quite a bit of words in the book, quite a few links for that. Does anybody have any questions for me and or Ruth around what your feeling about snacking is for you?
Cool.
Can you guys eat the food that's here too, by the way?
Yeah. Have a snack.
Thank you guys.
It's more juicy.
Hopefully you got something out of it.
Yeah,